I just didn't feel like going to Polytechnic. I felt that it was going to make me not to move fast because nobody ever advised me about education. So when I got this admission again into Unical, I emptied my account and went. I left Lagos. I stayed almost 2 months in Unical. Every morning, I would go to see if I could register. You won't even see any office open. The day they say school was going to resume, that students will start classes, we also went. In fact, there was a stampede in that school that day. We
Hello, I am Deborah Mado and I welcome you to Share and Inspire, where we provide you with inspirational solutions to your situations. Now, if you're visiting this channel for the very first time or you're a regular visitor but you're yet to subscribe, maybe because you think there is a subscription fee attached, or you think that some amount of money will be deducted from your account when you subscribe. Well, I'm here to let you know the truth, which is that there is no such thing as subscription fee. All you need to do is click on that subscribe button below showing subscribe, and you would have subscribed to our channel. Well, we need you to subscribe to our channel so you help our channel grow, just as we help you grow. So kindly click on that subscribe button now, because subscription is free. Share and inspire. True stories, real people.
While I was doing that program at NYC, I discovered that it was going to be difficult for me to cope. So I started akara business. And I was frying akara, puff-puff, potato, yam, plantain, all those fryables. While we were there frying akara, one hot afternoon, it started raining heavily. As the rains came, I don't know how we say this. You know, Lagos used to be a very dirty place those days. People would defecate by the roadside. When it's raining, you will see flood carrying those mess around. So where we were frying akara, you're always at standby so that none will settle where you are. So you are using stick to also send them forward. That's what we were doing that day until we had serious gunshots. That time, Lupeji Estate used to be target point for robbers. We had that gunshot. Little did we know that they were close to us. So what we usually do is, once you hear gunshot like that, you don't run, you go flat on the floor. Now with the rains and the flood and what we were sending away from our corner, how do you lie down? I also squatted into that flood. But I had a neighbor who couldn't. He ran to see if he could dodge into the car park. Because that car park, you have to run this way before you enter the car park. As he was running, they shot him. When they shot him, I carried him after they have passed. You know, trying to see what I could do. But Okechukwu died in my hands. So that gave me serious pain. Actually, I didn't know where he came from. But I knew he's an Ongwa person like me. But where and whose family he belonged to, I didn't know. So it was difficult contacting people, you know. I can't even explain how they did with his dead body, because at the time, one of the people who brought him to Lagos came into the case, and from there, I decided not to fry akara again. I closed that business and remembered once again that what brought me to Lagos was to progress in life, especially educationally, not frying akara. So that was when I got a job with Gibag Associates, and I started work there in 1998. Then I worked there till 2000 and resigned and went to Calabar for that admission. On getting to Calabar, things went bad there, like I have said before. I now returned back to Lagos. Where do I start from again? Before then, I had already lost the house I was staying with because I thought I had left Lagos. I didn't continue with that house again. I have also lived with a friend and Peace, one Miss Peace of then, but now Mrs. Akainem in Delta State. And I think we parted ways too. So where do I go back to now? How do I start? One elder in the church, Edo Kon, he used to be a carpenter for the union, and the family decided I could stay with them. I stayed with them at Ojota, 1 Victoria Street at Ojota. That's where I stayed and started learning hairdressing out of frustration. If there is any profession I didn't want to do or get involved in, is hairdressing, because it's the only profession I know you can be into that you cannot do it on yourself except you are extra talented. Except for now that I started doing these kind of things. That's when I think I have enjoyed that experience. But to stand and plate people say, I never did it for once, apart from learning process. Okay, so how will I even be feeding while learning? Nobody is caring for this small girl we are talking about here. Okay, so I learned how to make kunu and zobo. When I'm going to that shop, I'll carry my kunu and zobo in one blue cooler. I still have it in my house today. At times, I can make this kunu and zobo. Nobody will buy a bottle because there were also much of them those days in Lagos. So how do I even survive? At times, I could eat with 20 naira for 2 weeks. Yes, if I get okra 5 naira, get smoked fish 5 naira, I have cooked soup. And I'll be taking it small. Experiences in Lagos is, if I begin to count or recount my experiences in Lagos, in the next 7 days, this interview will not end. Okay, that's how I managed until I met a guy who wanted to marry me. One David Akpuh Dame, something like that. Now, we were planning on how do we. That guy also tried, because he will come. Maybe he will get 15 naira. He used to carry block and do all those messing, plastering things. If he gets, I don't know how much they were paying them then. If he gets maybe 100 naira, 200 naira in a day, he will come and give me 50 naira. Me, if I make sales and he doesn't have a job, I'll give him 50, that kind of a thing. That's how we were managing. One day he came to me. He said, I went to a place. They call that university Babcock. And I met my old friend who schooled there and trained herself. I said, where is that place? He said it's at Ogun State. Me, even though I am an Adventist, I only know that when that my poor mom goes to the market and so she used to cook rice, agidi, what we call agidi jollof, the one they use oil to make. Then she used to also cook what we call akidi. It's a local delicacy made of one kind of beans that you can cook from morning till night. It's not yet done. My mother was a professional in that area. So all those things, by the end of her weekly sales, she would gather 7 of us. She taught us accountability. She would say, this week, I had 2,000. I bought this, I bought this, I bought this, I sold this, I sold this, I sold this. So out of what I sold, I made so gain. This one is tight. We cannot touch it. This other one is for Aswa. Aswa is the place they said our children and grandchildren will school and work. My mother constantly said that every Friday, because it's only on Friday that we can have that family meeting. And that family meeting is for you to know that she is not underfeeding us, because she feeds us with whatever she gets within the week. And at the end of the day, she will now bring out 30 naira. That 30 naira will be for smoked fish. It's now we, the children, that will decide whether we will cook okazi soup or olubu soup. That's bitter leaf. Those are the only things you can cook in our house on a Friday. And those are the only soup for the week that you may have anything to chew from. other days of the week, we have enough ugu in the backyard. Okra will always be there. So how dare you think of buying any other thing? You know, now survival. That's how we grew. So when David now mentioned Babcock, remember my mother always sang Aswa. And that they said that's where their children and grandchildren will school and work. Aswa. He said that they said is even our school, our church school. He said, could it be Aswa? That was when I went to church and asked somebody. They say, yes, that Aswa has been transformed to Babcock. I say, wow. So that's how I now asked that guy, that how do I get to Babcock? He said, anytime you are ready, I will take you. And this is happening in 2002. So that 2002, September 2nd. First of all, September 1st, I went to Maryland. That time, Pastor Alaba Kingsley was the evangelist for the union. And his wife is my direct cousin. So, being that they have been in Lagos, they are the closest cousins that I had in Lagos. I went to her to tell her, this is what I'm deciding. I want to go to Babcock and school. So when I got to them, they never discouraged me. In fact, pastor said, yes, you can school there and you can even work while schooling. And this thing I said now is the only thing I have received in their life. But I appreciated it so much because if they had said, where are you going to? It's not for the poor. Maybe I wouldn't have taken up that decision. So I came. In fact, he went further and handed me over to Uncle Jonathan. That's the current registrar of Babcock University now. And Uncle Dele, who is the academic planning director today. He's now a professor. Both of them are professors now, but then they were my uncles. Now they drove me to Babcock. That same day, I came in. We made inquiries. They said that admission for that year had closed. So what will I be doing for the next 7 months? If I go back to Lagos, I don't want to go back to Gibag Associates again, because even though I cannot say that my boss did not appreciate my work, I went through thick and thin in that office. I received the highest insult in that office. I had a boss who doesn't have control over words. I don't know whether he has changed now, but then he could commonize you to nothing when he's angry. And I endured that for like 4 years. His friends would come to the office and say, you are the only one who has worked with this man for more than 3 months. You have been here for years. You will endure. God will see you through. So when I came and admission had closed, what will I do? I quickly called Pastor Alaba. I said, Pastor, they said admission had closed. He said, go to Jonathan. Before you get to him, I'll call him. To walk from old classroom block where security director's office was, back to registry where Uncle Joe was working. He was not the registrar that time, but he was working with the registrar. He had made that call. So I got there. Uncle said, the pastor said we should get you a job. And I have called the director of security services, and he said you should resume immediately. I went back there, met him. I said, I'm the one who came from Jonathan also. He said, okay, you will start immediately. We will place you as senior security officer because of the certificate you have in computer. Come and see, that thing raised problems in security services. Hey, director has come again. Who is this girl? Where did the director see this girl? Now he's a senior security officer. I was looking at myself, senior security officer, somebody who wants to go to school. But I appreciated all that because as against 2,500 naira I received on monthly basis in Gibag Associates, Babcock started my salary with 13,500 naira. And then I learned saving from my mother. So I was virtually not touching anything from that money. Of course, that year I started farming in Illusion to to sustain myself. So that's how I managed and saved my money until the next 7 months when admission began again. I purchased form. Luckily for me, I was given admission to study mass communication. I went and withdrew my savings, paid acceptance fee, 70,000 naira. So after paying acceptance fee, I now started processing my registration. You know, those good days of Babcock University, Babcock will live long. Professor Alolade, God will give him good health until the day he will depart. Because that man didn't know the difference between the rich and the poor. He gave us what was called payment plan. Your payment plan is that you will write the school and tell the school how you want to pay your salary and your school fees, and the school will permit you. So with that payment plan, nobody will ever stop you from writing exam as long as you're meeting up with that plan. So while I was exiting from security job, the security department saw that I could be useful to them, and they gave me what was called student security work. That is that secret security that gives information. So I did that. They call it investigation. I did that for like 1 year. As soon as I finished with my 100 level, and of course, you know, if at all anybody on earth gave me money, I could remember Sister Choma, the cash officer at Bosre. Each time I go there to pay 100 naira into my school fees, she will look at me, she will sigh, but she had no option. She will give me receipt. If I have 200 naira, the same. In fact, at times when I'm coming like this, she'll be so sad. I will say, Sister Choma, forgive me. You know, any money that entered my hand, the only project in my life was Babcock University school fees. So that's how I was paying it until summer period. And of course, you know, there was what was called work study. I was doing security, and they were paying me 5,000 for that work study. That security thing was work study for me too. Now, at the end of that year, I went for canvassing in Ghana. That's another story. Canvassing is what they call students' work. The school or the church will provide books. You go to ABC, Adventist Book Center, anywhere you are. Collect those books, go out there, sell them. They will give you some percentage. As at the time I was in school, the percentage of a canvasser or literature evangelist was 45%, while the church would take 55% of your sales. So I did mine in Ghana. That first year, God favored me. I saw the hands of the Lord upon me, and I will never take it for granted. Because it was because God went ahead of me that Ghana Conference, South Ghana Conference, made me the leader of a house where we stayed, and could reach me anytime they want to talk to students. Though there were tussles, there were problems in that house, but God saw me through. Especially as I was on the path of truth. One thing I hate in my life is painting issues. If I am doing it wrong, I will say this is what I'm doing. I will not, because it's me, and say it's right. God led me to a particular man with CRJ in Ghana. That man had access to the publisher who published Desire of Ages. I don't know how he became friendly with me, and he promised me that anywhere I have order to supply Desire of Ages, that he will give me free. I would supply, get my money, and return his own. I will not need to buy before selling. I didn't know what prompted him from saying that. But my brother, lo and behold, Babcock University was using Desire of Ages for one general course, and it was compulsory for every 100 level student. And look at the promise. So somehow, somebody gave me information that the bookshop was looking for Desire of Ages. When I made inquiries, bookshop said no, that they are not the one, that is religious department, because it's the religious department that used that book for GDS. All the way from Ghana, I got 1,000 copies of that book to supply Babcock at the rate of, I think, 550 naira. And guess what God did for me? Advent Press in Ghana had something to come and pick up from Nigeria in Lagos. And I had those cartons of books to bring to Nigeria. You know, the expenses of transportation would have made me not to make good gain in that sales. But then, because the treasurer of Advent Press was coming by himself to pick those things from Union in Lagos, I now got wind of that and told him, I have this. Can I travel with you? He said, sure. We are running empty. What else? That's how they loaded my books, 1,000 copies, and carried me all the way from Ghana to Nigeria without me paying a dime. The only money I spent was when we got to Togo border, and it was late because we left there around after 4 in the evening. He said we can sleep over in the Union and continue. You know, the unions run hotel system too. So we now paid for hotel. So that was the only money I spent to and fro Ghana with 1,000 copies of my book. They did not stop in the Union. He said, since we are going back with you, no need of leaving you. Let's drop you and supply those things in Babcock. We'll go home together. That's how God did that for me. So the gain I made from that book was good to strike off my 1 year school fees. Though there were inches here and there, but God scaled me through and I was able to use it. But I made good sales. I came with good money too. So because of that excess, I was able to help my elder sister's daughter. Now remember that when my mother told my elder sister that who knows, it might be from this Lagos that she will make her living the way she wants it. As soon as God gave me that privilege to enter Babcock, I also came with my elder sister's daughter and she stayed with me. Because of that excess, I was able to help pay her school fees for first year in Babcock. She entered to study economics. So both of us were in school. Now, second help was that in 200 level, Babcock University had an opening for contractors on work study. So I went for the interview. I passed. So I was one of the contractors who handled buildings as student contractors. Because we were all active and we were all self-sponsored, we didn't take much laborers. We did most of the bulk work. And at the end of the year, at the end of the month, rather than getting the 5,000 naira work study thing, we were getting something higher than that. So that helped me a lot. And everything that came my way were for my school fees. I could only do other expenses if my school fees for the year has been paid. That's how it continued until I graduated in 2007. That my sister graduated in 2008. At the end of the day, while my mates were there serving, I was given exemption. I started working as a daily rated worker in food services. A job I was promised that it was going to be like maybe 2 weeks, and I would just be regularized and taken to where I'm supposed to work. For 7 years, I was trapped into that work. And everyone who knew me in this compound saw me as a wasted effort. But then, only me, because I married while I was there, only me, God and my husband knew that I was not quiet where I was. I was a daily rated worker, so I didn't need to write letters to do some things. I decided that I will be going to Ago to get admission into my master's program. I tried Ibadan first, it couldn't work. I now went to Ago. I started my master's at Ago in 2009. I got that admission 2009, December 16th. I was in that program of 1.5 years for the next 5 years. That program ended in 2014. Just because of one man. He made a lot of trouble with the department that we were held for 5 years. In fact, God helping me, I decided to waste all the receipts and everything that concerns that school. After 4 years plus, I was tired. I have gathered them to bond them. My husband said, don't do that. You never can tell. God can just touch that school and this program will end. And as he said it, was not to 1 month. That man that was troubling everybody died, and the school decided to call everybody to come and graduate. That's how I said, God, thank you for saving me. We quickly went back to school, tidied up, defended my research work, and that was that I had my master's. When I got my master's degree, that encouraged me. I cannot just go straight because there were also others. So then, few days later, I went to the VC, Professor Makinde. I will not also forget that man. I can never take his deeds towards me for granted. That was how I showed him my paper now that I have my master's. He was so happy with me. He said I should come and see him. I went again to see him, to tell him the stories. He wasn't even there. It was Professor Gunji that I met, his chief of staff. Professor Gunji said, so you have been working as a daily rated worker since 7 years. Babcock graduate? No, something must be done. However he did it, I don't know, but at administration level, they considered me and gave me a job. As soon as that job was given, you know there are principles and procedures in the school. You also have policies standing against some things. So you cannot just proceed to go to school. You must work for 2 years before you go to school. And I marked time because to me, it was time for me to forge ahead. After 2 years, I applied for my PhD. The school permitted me, my boss permitted me, and I started. I was supposed to graduate out of that program in 2020, but because of the kind of research I took into, I had to prepare myself financially, morally, academically, spiritually for me to be able to come out of that research work. I did an intervention that was self-funded. Nobody contributed anything, and that research took nothing less than a million plus something naira from me. And I had to take my time. Then reporting that research too, I didn't want to be in a hurry. So in 2021, I graduated and got my PhD. And since then, life has not remained the same again. Now, to everybody out there who is finding it difficult to do anything, I want to tell you these following things. 1, that you are not fun even from your first year is not a limitation to your growth. My father died in 1981. My mother died in 1999. But I did not even have my WAEC result complete when my mother died. It was when my mother died that I was inspired that I don't even need these parents to be somebody. All you need is 1, God beside you. So many things will be wrong in your environment. Overlook them and depend on God. Build your faith in God. 2, be determined that this is what I want to be. Your mates will laugh at you because you're not measuring up with what they're doing. You don't even have cash to flow with them. You don't have any support. You don't have anybody encouraging you. But you know that you have a place you're going to. Keep on forging ahead, because if you endure the hardship now and you cross over, you will enjoy double of the things your mates have enjoyed today. Some of them will end up in the rough boys' hands, Some of the boys will end up in rough boys' hands too, or rough girls' hands. And you think they are fast. By the time you look at it, they are limited because they have chosen a wrong path. But if you endure with God and choose to walk according to the right path, you will see yourself excelling in future when your mates you thought that they are better than you have stopped. Of course, I want to tell you that I made the first PhD in my secondary school class. But if you do analysis of my classmates, I wasn't even the number 30th of 50-something we were in class. Anywhere you find yourself, remember that there will always be a system problem. System problems are not your personal problems. Find yourself a comfortable place in a system that has problem. Don't go into politicking or classing yourself where you don't belong. I don't belong to any class. I don't lobby for anything. I avoid lobbying because if you lobby for something, number one, you will pay for it whether you like it or not. If you lobby for something and you are stuck somewhere, you need lobbying to get out of it. I don't use those methods. I only use my knees on the floor. God, you know me. I bring his words to him. And one Bible verse that has kept me going. In fact, let me give you two. One is what is recorded in Matthew 19:26. It says, with men, these things are impossible. But with God, all things are possible. That has been my watch Bible test. Another one is Philippians 4 verse 6. If you're a Christian out there, go check out Philippians 4 verse 6. It says, be anxious for nothing, but in everything is worst condition, everything, you don't have mother, you don't have father, nobody is paying your fees, somebody is suggesting halloting, somebody is saying this and that. They're all everything. In everything, through prayer and supplication. Go and check out those two meanings, prayer and supplication, with thanksgiving. Even when things are difficult, the Bible is saying use prayer with supplication and thanksgiving and make your request be known to God. God has said that he is the father of all widows, father of all orphans, father of all destitutes, anyone who is in lack. God is your father and your supplier. Always go out there to seek him at all conditions. Determined to succeed. Cling unto God. Believe in him. Be faithful and hardworking. Don't give up. There is nothing you cannot do. Till today, I am still a farmer. If not that I am in this studio now, I should be somewhere where I should have been planning with those who will go to the farm for me tomorrow. I don't buy cassava or garri from anybody. I make them myself. In most cases, my pap and everything we use in the house from corn, I produce myself. Because you can never tell where your Jesus will come from. If you say it must be a white-collar job, you're a liar. You can make out things with your hands. I do wigs, I do bead making, and I do farm. I work in Babcock University Linjiri White Research Center as research assistant. And I teach in Babcock University Mass Communication part-time program. All this I do not because I have the strength, it's because heaven is supplying the strength. And I know that one day, in less than no time, I will excel to the point that people will say, wow, so it's happened. And that is my word for everyone who is listening to me out there. Thank you.